Hi there, my name is Six Fox and welcome to Factorio. It's been a minute since we did a Factorio video, and that really is a shame because I love Factorio so very much. Part of the problem has been this though. I know that Factorio is meant to be played in this sandbox free play kind of mode, and while there's a lot of challenge and it's very intriguing, it's very hard to do a long play of Factorio because people are just going to see you doing a lot of the same things again and again and again. And that doesn't excite me, so I don't think that that would excite you. I know my strengths as a game connoisseur, and that generally revolves around plot-centric games. So because Factorio isn't really plot-centric, what am I to do? Here's the answer, and I'm back with the next way that we are moving forward in this. And this is going to be going through the story missions that Factorio has through one of the many modifications. Factorio has a wonderful modding community, and this has been put together by the individual known as GreenFlag. So what are we getting into? I'm not quite sure. I just know that there are story missions here, and I like story-driven games. So we're going to read this together. We're going to dive right in, and let's have a whole ton of fun. You survived the harsh conditions of the unknown planet where you crash-landed years ago. Now you're back on a mission to help a government corporation establish a new mining colony. However, you know well what dangers the planet holds. The story campaign contains a total of 10 full missions. Each mission has a series of mandatory and optional tasks. There is no respawn in the campaign. Don't forget to save the game regularly. Do you like the story campaign? Would you like more missions and even play them co-op, etc., etc.? It looks like there is support for the project, and GreenFlag says thank you and enjoy the game. There is some difficulty buttons here on the side. I'm just going to stick with normal. Perhaps hard is truly hard. It's difficult to say until we actually dive in. I'm looking forward to finding out exactly what normal means here, but I think that we have enough information to go off of. Let's dive right in. Something hit your ship during atmospheric flight and damaged it. The emergency landing didn't go so smoothly, and while you're rescuing your crew, you hear an unknown voice in your comm. Mission objectives: find the outer base. Mission intel: follow the objectives to get new researches. Scouting your surroundings can be worthwhile. Mission parameters: new research. There's a tank. We are on normal difficulty, so enemies do not evolve or expand. And there's decreased starting items and ammo. It looks like this is this planet, and the outer base is right here. And I'm not quite sure what this means with this tank. Is this research that we should be able to get to, or do we start off with it? Mission parameters, that's a little bit unclear there. It looks like we are on the planet Nalvis, which we should be familiar with if we are familiar with Factorio. Let's start the mission and dive in. Oh no, this is new. There's two engineering bodies right here. I am this little engineer, and then there's two character corpses. The engineer says, ouch, that was a hard landing. What happened? Oh no, my crew is dead. Outer base. Anyone survived the crash? If you can hear me, our base is located northeast from your position. Outer base. It was a blast. Those bugs can shoot the plasma really high. Too bad they just hit you. I can't send people out to you. Our base is under attack. If you arrive unharmed, get in the vehicle parked inside, then I'll send you further instructions. I'm gonna see, can I pick up this corpse? I cannot. Can I pick up my ship? It looks like it cannot be mined, but I can take all this. That's good. We have new objectives. Go to the base, get into the parked vehicle. And the engineer says, okay, those tracks should lead to the base. I should follow them. We think we said to the northeast. Looks like we do have, oh, well, we do have some interesting things. We're just going to try and pick up anything we can from this shipwreck. And then I do see here, if I go to my map here, looks like there are some enemies here. There's some railways that are here that have been destroyed by some biters, and some long telephone poles that are heading out in that general direction. So following the train tracks is probably my very best bet. Should I pick these up or not? I'm going to say probably not. Not for now anyway. We're just going to follow this train track back to the relative safety of whatever outpost we are coming up on. Looks like... Are these going to shoot me? It looks like no. It looks like these are friendly entities Can I interact with them? I can. I might as well leave everything kind of in place right now. So this is this little base here. Very first thing I need to do is I need to press the Alt key so I can see what's going on. Aha, this looks like a pretty nice little setup. Looks like there's potentially some red science that can go on through here. It'll fuel these 3 labs. It's nice paved type of base, which is always nice to see. That makes things very excellent. And then, oh, it looks like there's some flamethrower turrets here that are currently not being supplied with oil. We are short on crude oil. Why that is, I'm not too sure. And then all these essentials are being created at this time. Aha, very nice to see that someone has started to limit these productions. I don't need 10,000 pipes. I'm probably just going to leave ourselves about like this. Something like this, so that way we can have some resources coming through. Otherwise, this is a very interesting kind of operation. It's generally a bad idea to have more than one type of resource on a belt at any given moment, but it looks like that we are doing some sushi that ultimately ends with all unused resources here at the end. Oh, but we've immediately got a problem, and that is that things are getting backed up. I better actually do something about that. I'm going to do something about that right now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, whoops, I'm going to build just a couple more belts so that way I can get multiple of these inserters working to get resources off of this belt. If this jams up all the way, I'm going to be pretty sad. I don't think that these flamethrower turrets actually need power. Oh, it was just powering this one little lamp. There was a little lamp sitting there. I need to borrow that power pole. Please forgive me. Even though I'm putting this right in the middle of the road, I'm just seeing production issues immediately. I know that we are now in the base, so we've met that objective, and it looks like this is probably the vehicle that we need to hop into. But for now, I'm just a little bit busy exploring. It looks like we have a little bit of a mining operation here, not too big, but it looks like it's going from coal onto these different resource lines. And, oh, I mean, wow, you just have this kind of hodgepodge of copper mixed with iron ore. This might actually be an elegant solution to an otherwise inelegant situation. Where your ores are just mixed all the way through. That might not be a bad idea. We're going to back way up, and I see some more things up here. What these are, I'm not too sure. It looks like there's no raw materials coming through here to supply these little outcroppings, and I don't have any way to potentially defend these at this time. I'm going to leave this for now. I'm going to assume that we're going to get some further advice once we dive into this vehicle here. Where'd it go? Right here. The outer base says, the bugs destroyed our pump jacks and pipelines. We have no fuel supply for our flamethrower turrets. I did notice that. The oil facilities lie on north. Can you take a look at this? In the vehicle is the equipment for repairing the pump jacks and the pipes. Oh goodness, that's kind of a little bit of a ways away, isn't it? Yes, kind of far away. The engineer now says, great. Now I'm a plumber. I'd better get the fuel supply going again, or it's going to get pretty stuffy in here. I should handle that vehicle with care. It would be pretty sucky if I had to run around on foot. I could not have said that better myself. Really couldn't have. Okay, I think we could just kind of follow this piping. Yeah, it looks like this piping will just take us to this outer base. And if it goes through trees, it's not too bad. Looks like there's just like a little bit of a path here. I see that some enemies have destroyed some of the pipe here. I'll probably come back and deal with that in just a second. I don't know. Do these poles have power? They do. So we do have power going all the way out here. It seems like a good idea to let these landmine defenses stay put. And then otherwise, I can collect the resources in here. Oh, and I'm even going to take some of the ammunition just in case there's a problem with my car. And I think I'm supposed to repair this base. So there's 1, 2... then let's call it 3. Okay, repair and connect the pipes to the base. Oil must flow through the pipeline. So far, so good. I'm going to pull up some of these walls here. These are modified dragon teeth. These, in theory, should slow down the enemy. They should prevent some major issues with fighters trying to get through and cause harm. But they are more of a secondary deterrent and less of a primary way of stopping the biters from causing us harm. So rather than leave these as they are. We're just going to make a couple of sections here. I do notice that I'm out of materials. I'm out of wall sections, so I'm just going to build a couple of pipes. Pipes are actually pretty darn good at preventing problems. Maybe you've seen that before in your own playthroughs, or if this is the first time, that's just something that I think that you could expect, you could plan on. Pipes have less hit points than walls, and yet they can still just keep the enemy from running right on in and destroying things. I don't have any other gun turrets. I'm going to build one right now. There are flame throwers here and here and here, and you can see the coverage is pretty okay. There's a little bit of a sliver here and a little bit of a sliver here where the enemies might be able to come through unharmed. But with one gun turret and just a little bit of ammunition, I think that we're going to be able to adequately defend this base from any major problems. So it looks like oil is flowing down through this general section, and I'm going to start putting some of my items onto my quick bars. If you know me, you know that I like to put my items in the same spots every single time I do a playthrough. That way I'm not looking for items. Everything has a place, and when I'm going to try and find something, it is in its place without any issues. Are there any problems here? I don't think so, but I do know that optional is kill 3 small worms by the pipeline. I am going to have to repair this pipeline a little bit. I know that. And so we might as well drive on down very slowly. We will avoid any aggro from the worms because we are just that slick. And we're just going to finish him off by running him over. That is the American way. And I am an American, so that's the way we're going to do it. And this is actually an American type of conquest because, I mean, we are after all, trying to get oil? That seems like the most American thing we could possibly do. Yeah. So, it looks like we've got the piping all through here. It's 1 underground, 2 undergrounds, so on and so forth. The outer base says, I love the smell of running gasoline. Great job. I have good news and bad news. The good news is I've assigned some robots to repair your ship. And the bad news, we need you to solve an insect problem. I think that's fair, right? Depends on how big the insect problem is, I think. If you want to survive in the wasteland, you should get some better equipment. Use our laboratories to research weapons. If I were you, I'd be all over it because bugs never sleep. I certainly agree with that. So we have a new objective. That's research military. The engineer says I should go back to base and automate it a little better. There are some coal and iron deposits to the northwest tip that could be exploited. Northwest tip. I'm thinking that that's this general area here. Yes, it looks like it. And that's going to be kind of difficult just because it's so far out of bounds. There's no natural defenses out here. And if I need to plan on the enemies coming through here, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble. So it's always difficult to repair somebody else's base. It's kind of a problem. It's kind of hard to fix what someone else has done because you don't really know what they were thinking. It looks like this was maybe a splitter. These were some belts. It looks like copper should go here. It looks like this is probably for just an iron plate here, so on and so forth. And so you can kind of troubleshoot and step back and figure out what was going on. But like right here, I mean, oh, it was a box. You were just putting a box into here. Yeah, you're just putting some iron plates into the box and then it goes through and you get some engines and okay, that makes some sense. Was there supposed to be a box here or are you supposed to simply put things everywhere? I guess for now we can cut down a couple more trees just so that way we have plenty of boxes and do something quite similar. Once again, these teeth don't really help if the enemy biters can just go right around it. I prefer, especially early on, to simply wall in completely my turrets. It doesn't look very nice. It's not as thematic as what they've done, but it really gets the job done so much better. In fact, I think I would like to pick these up, but I really need, let's see, I need to put this here on my quick bar, and then that way I can actually pick it up. It took me forever to figure out how I can actually pick up stone blocks, and that's how it's done. Just to honor the wishes of the original designer, I'm going to modify that, but still keep the basic structure in place. I'm going to make sure that I do have a couple of boxes because I always end up using a few at some point. And I'll do something like, let's do something like this. I do need a couple of these inserters. I'll do 1 and 2. We will put the rest of our iron plates there, and we will put some copper plates here. That should make some inserters for us. And again, this feels very unprotected, but so far that seems to be what I got. Looks like we are mostly putting out iron plates, and that's good. The early game ratio that you want, it's not really a ratio, but it tends to favor the iron over the copper. And that just shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. The copper is kind of more of like a specialized resource early on for electronic parts and such. But then as you move on, you tend to find more of these other resources being useful. Look, you can see that we have a problem here. We are officially jammed. This right here, these pipes, I limited my pipes, and as a result, we now have way too much going on here. This is kind of the problem you end up having with sushi belts, is that things will back up, things will jam up, and so we've lost a lot of time in production just because we were waiting for space to come on out. Not to mention, let's see, not here, not here. Not to mention there might have been some other places where we were just running shy on resources. So that does give us enough, though, to at least get our research up and going. And as I do so, I'm going to, again, put items on my quick bar in a place that makes the most sense to me. I'm going to just make sure that there's never any problem with copper here, and that there's never any problem with iron gear wheels. I say never, and I shouldn't say that because that's not the case. There's always going to be a problem. It's just sometimes it's not as bad as we would have supposed. But as you can see, that we're not actually researching anything at this time. It sounds like we need to get to military science. We will see if this is all the items that we can research. I'm guessing that this is it. I'm guessing that we're not going to be able to research any more than what we have currently available to us. I think it's not a bad idea just to get our fast inserters going. Blue inserters are pretty darn good, and then we will plan on getting the military science, so that way we can get more effective weapons. Right now, I only just realized we only have the pistol, and so there's a part of me that says, well, we can always get some other things. We can always get our inserters later. Let's make sure we have a gun that works, because the enemies here are never friendly. They're always angry, and that's very sad. This is kind of interesting. So for the first time, I'm kind of contemplating what this railway is, what it does, where it goes, so on and so forth. I'm a little bit not sure what to expect out of that, but I'm guessing it's going to bring in some resources at some point. What and where, I don't know. And there's no indication on the map insofar as I can tell. One of the things I feel like I must do immediately is boost my smelting. If you're going to have a successful venture, you're always going to need more of your smelting. There's always the thought process, well, should I try and keep my pollution down to a minimum, and so that way I don't have to incur the wrath of biters, or should I try and be more proactive and aggressive in fighting the biters? I think that it's a no-brainer. I think that this is a factory building game. Even in these story missions, I think that you should plan on being very aggressive and smashing through your production quotas, because nobody wants to just play it safe and just eke out a victory. We are here, or at least I am here, to overwhelm the enemy. I was just looking for cliff explosives. There are none. So we are not going to be able to terraform this wall section in the way that I would like. And that's a little bit of a sad deal. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, how am I going to set up my smelting? I'm thinking that probably the best thing I can do is actually run my resources in this direction. Probably in this direction. Maybe I reroute this pipe through this way and then go like here into there. And that's what I'm going to start doing, actually. Just because I can tell you right now that this feels like it's going to be way too claustrophobic. Even at the cost of hurting my resource production, I think that it's just the best thing for us. We're going to... Gosh, this is going to lose me some of this oil that has been mined, but it's basically a free investment because we more or less just started with it. And I don't worry about running out of the oil because there's this big storage tank. It's got 24,000 oil in it, 24K units of oil. So we're going to lose about 100 oil per section of pipe that we're picking up here. That's just kind of the cost of doing business in my mind. And otherwise, while I feel bad about taking whatever the original engineer wanted to do and just getting rid of it, it feels like this is just too cramped, and at no point is anyone going to say, yeah, buddy, you should stick with whatever was already there. That just is not the true Factorio way. It's always better to pick things up, adjust them, make changes, and so on and so forth. So it looks like we do have these flamethrower turrets that are doing tremendously well. 31 ammo here, 27 ammo here. Yeah, these flamethrower turrets basically just sip on oil. It's such a low investment, and they do such a good job in preventing enemy aggression. I am going to let those do their job at the very, very low cost of not much. I suppose, let's see, what is the cost of the flamethrower turrets? It's the base cost of whatever it takes to build them, and then whatever power it takes to get the oil, and then it's the opportunity cost of not having additional resources, I suppose. We're gonna have to find a way to go through there. We'll figure that out in a little bit. But otherwise, it's just really not that big of a deal. And what you get is such a good defense. I would always back up my, what are they? My flamethrower turrets. I would always back those up with at least one gun turret, just in case some enemy gets a little too close, or they get in a place where the flamethrower turrets can't do damage. But really, that doesn't happen nearly as often as you'd think. Just a few flamethrower turrets ends up doing a great deal of work for you, in my opinion, that's what I've found. Okay, let's first and foremost just get the oil situated. It was here first. Let's try and put it back where it ought to be. Here, all the way out to here, and then just a couple of pipes, section lengths there. Outer base, well done. It's time to finally get rid of the bugs. As soon as you're ready, head out to the wasteland. Oh, it's because I finished my military research. Oh, I thought I would have to get into black research. There's the red, green, black, light blue, etc. Type of researches. Military research was the thing to do. And the outer base says, well done. It's time to finally get rid of the bugs. As soon as you're ready, head out into the wasteland. Destroy their nests around the base. We're not going to let some insects terrorize us. Buddy, I am terrified of them. I'm glad that you feel good about my chances with my military tech. I sure don't. I sure don't. I do want to get logistics here. That seems like the best thing for me. The engineer says, with the vehicle, the disposal of nests will be easier. Very, very true. I always like to put my car right here. Ooh, real quick, I need to change my color. I try and change it to a different color every playthrough. Right now, we're going to go for a nice kind of electric green. I don't know a better way of saying that. And then, do we have any stone? We have any stone on the map, actually. There's a stone patch here, stone patch there. These enemies are going to continue to attack. I should probably go to the stone patch and get a couple of miners right now, because I'm gonna want probably more sections of wall. I'm probably gonna want some other things. What I'm gonna do right now is just some direct. Let's see. I'm gonna have one bit of stone go straight into a box, and then I'm gonna have one steel furnace that's gonna start making some stone brick for me. It's gonna be a nice slow process, and that's okay. But in just a little while, we'll come back, and that'll be a little bit more full, and we can use more than just these steel furnaces that we had here. Let's have probably. I hate this. I hate this so much. This doesn't make any sense. This is not how you play Factorio. And that's good. That's why we need to do this, is because then it'll help us be a better Factorio player, honestly. This power pole is going to have to move. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to put it right there. Then that way I can go from here to here and go from here to here. Go a little bit around. And then the resources can continue, but this time, well, this is just bad. This isn't going to help. Ugh. Okay. All right. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten so excited. Maybe the point of this first scenario is not to be the best Factorio player ever. Maybe it's just to kind of get through this scenario and then go from there. So maybe I'll open myself up to potentially getting more smelting, but that doesn't mean that I actually have to make it great. At least I'm setting myself up for some possible success by putting my smelters at least in the correct way. That should actually help a lot. Let's see, best way of doing this. Do we have long-armed inserters? We do. And so because of that, I'm actually going to do a 3 belt in the middle setup. Do I have medium power poles? I do not. And so what that's going to mean is I'm going to have to do, let's see. I got a couple medium power poles, so it'll be fine. I'm just going to do it like this. Let's see. I'm going to pick up all of this so that way I can design something that'll work for me. Because it must work for me. That's the most important thing. We're going to go like this. And get 1 splitter. We don't have logistics just yet. Are we close? No, we're not. We're probably like just a few holes away. Or just a few of our red potions. Let's just craft 1 or 2. Because once we get logistics, then we can do some much better things. There's going to be 1 power pole here. Or excuse me, not 1 power pole. 1 science here and here. One of the interesting problems with doing a setup like this is that you get 1% here, 90% here, 2% here, and it just gets kind of mishmashed all over the place. I don't love it, but it'll work. Okay, logistics is at 99%. There we go. I do need the 1 splitter. And I need to do that just for me so that I don't go crazy. I'm going to put the copper ore to the right and then here for the iron ore. And I'm actually going to have my more important resources on the left, and that's the iron ore because you end up, again, using more of that at any given time. And then I'm just going to get some red inserters. They're going to help me pull resources off of a middle belt. It's going to be coal from here. So, is this the most ideal solution we've ever seen? It's a solution. And if you're playing Factorio, I strongly encourage you not to let best be the enemy of good. Because if you let best be the enemy of good, you're going to be just sad. You're going to say to yourself, oh, I could have done this better. I should have done that better. And ultimately, you're going to realize that you're not having fun because you're not allowing yourself to just enjoy what you currently have. And I think that that's a shame. I do. We're going to do it just like this, I think. Yes, I think so. That goes there. We are totally out of resources. We already knew that. So let's kind of jumpstart this process a little bit. As you can see, I don't have some modifications on. If you're familiar with the modding community, you know that there are some very good modifications. Things like, what's it called? Help. It evenly spreads your resources. You just kind of click and it evenly spreads everything so that way you don't have to worry about it. It's really tremendous. It's terrific. I tend to not use modifications unless they're just an absolute can't miss type of a deal. And really, it is a can't miss modification. It really is tremendous. I just don't feel like I need to be shackled to it, and I like to do some of these playthroughs myself without that additional help. I don't think that you should feel bad though if you end up doing modifications. For example, one of the modifications I cannot live without at this point in my life is jetpack. Being able to have a personal ability to just kind of get all around the map is so important to me. I could not imagine living without it. Really, I mean that in every sense of the word. I had to do one adjustment there because of this power pole. My red inserter was in the wrong spot. But now we've got our faster crafting resources here on the left-hand side here. And we have our slower crafting resources here on the right-hand side, just because it's crafting speed of 1 on the stone furnaces versus the crafting speed of 2 on the steel furnaces. Now we're cooking with gas. Now we're starting to get some good forward progress, and it is worth noting that these biters are not getting through these defenses. At some point, I'll probably have to add some things to make sure that the defenses work a little bit better. For now, though, we need not worry. I do think I'm going to go down here and just combine. I think I'm going to combine everything onto this one belt. It was all kind of mishmashed on before, and now it's really going to be mishmashed. It's going to be a Frankenstein type of monster. But if Frankenstein didn't want to be a monster, then he shouldn't have been created by the real monster. Is that what we were supposed to take from Mary Shelley's book? It's been a minute since I took AP Lit, so hard to say. Hard to say. I do love that people love to make sure that they are saying that same line again and again. Well, was it really Frankenstein that was the monster? No, the whole point of the book was that he was not. It was Frankenstein's monster. Monster was actually Frankenstein. Anyway, I'm telling you stuff you already know. What you may not know is that I'm potentially setting us up for major issues here. Like we had with the sushi belt earlier and it got jammed, I may be just throwing way too many resources on here and I may just overwhelm our production capabilities. It's more than just possible. I think it's likely. And I should be very careful. But as you can tell, I'm not being careful at all. Go and tell somebody that can stop me. I don't think that there is anybody that can stop me. Okay, so we have boosted our production here. That was at least an additional, what, 4 electric mining drills with the capacity to add more very, very quickly on the fly. And we've split our, we've made some dedicated lines as far as our production goes. I do like this solution much better, and it looks like we're still using a lot of these resources, so I don't think I need to be too concerned. Things that are still a problem, though, let's see. We are now pulling the copper belts off of the line, and so that way we are going to continue to get some red science, albeit very, very slowly. I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put 50 iron plates here, and it's just going to help saturate the line a little bit. At worst, I'm going to end up catching it on the back end. And then adding in some of these additional iron ore resources there. Okay. That's done. Before I forget, I do need to take some of these resources out and put them in a box. And there's this that's working just fine. I'm going to leave it running as intended. We've got plenty of bricks. We have not seen any enemies in any ways that might be terrible for us. Let's pick up just a few of these other type of materials. Things that we might want. Gears. I don't think I want any more copper at this time. And we are not getting a whole lot of the iron plates down to the end of the line. That'll be fine. Okay, so let's turn our attention back to our science. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing at all to push towards logistics 2, because that could potentially lead us to a car. I don't see a tank. We've got the automobilism, but there's no tank here. So that was very strange that it talked about a tank, and we just haven't seen one yet. Maybe we just need to go cruising around. Maybe we need to load up the old car, put some ammunition in it while we are getting ourselves a submachine gun, just in case we end up on the wrong side of town. And then we'll just continue that way. And just drive around, see what we can find. Because otherwise, maybe the base building wasn't the main focus of this campaign. The campaign perhaps is more based off of exploration and dealing damage to the bad guys. Let's drive actually through our little gate here. I remember that there were some magazines, some firearm magazines being built here on the line. There's an extra 53. Let's take out this first base that is currently in our pollution cloud, and then we will work to clear out some of these other bases. Because we're on normal mode, it sounded like these are not expanding, these bases are not, and yet it's still going to be a matter of caution to make sure that we don't run into any problems. In fact, here's a problem that's big enough. I think that I can just back up, get some support from my base, and then in a second, once the fire dies down, I will come right back on out. Just like this. Yeah, this is a lot of enemies. Probably best I use a little bit of a turret creeping method, where I get a couple of turrets just placed right outside of range to help me keep the enemies off my back. You know, kind of one of those I got your 6 type of moments. And that'll take just a moment to kind of set up here. right here. Nope, it's a little too close. Whoa, am I getting burned by my own turrets? Wow, I am not good at this. I swear, I used to actually be okay at this. Okay. Alright. This is probably a good thing that we went on normal difficulty and not on hard difficulty. Because what I usually do is I use my car to just drive in a circle. Problem is that these bases are actually big enough that that's not as easy as it sounds. There's 1 out of 5 biter nests down, though. Let's just go grab our 1 turret, just to move it. We're going to put it just right there. We're not going to support it at all. Sure, we will. For some reason, the turrets kind of get stuck. They will pick up one new enemy, and then they will stick on the new enemy until that enemy is dead. And that's not a problem unless the enemy that they kind of pick up is a biter nest. They will ignore the biters that are currently attacking them until they kill the biter nest. And that, of course, is a major problem because, hey, one of these is going to kill you and one of these is not going to kill you. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things has teeth, one of these things has acid, and if you can't tell the difference, buddy, I don't know how to help you. So that was ultimately successful, even if very, very sloppy. What can I say? I think I've mentioned in the tutorials that we've done that you can look at this as kind of like a combat type of game in a sense, but I sure wouldn't. I just realized we need red and green science to continue on. Let's start working on physical projectile damage. It's going to cost a lot of these science packs, but it should be fine. Wow, my word, what is our problem here? Looks like we're just not mining enough resources, and so I'm going to spend the time. I'm going to pick up a couple of these resources that can come out just to get 2 more miners. Oh, one of them died. That's part of the problem. And then rather than do something wild and crazy, we're just going to we're going to just kind of do a bootlegged power supply just like this. Looks ugly, very effective though. So that's been completed. It says we still have 1 more biter nest to complete here. Did we ever pick up, I think that we put some resources in here. Did we ever pick them up? We never got enough iron plates here to actually make arms, did we? And if that's all that we get out of this little section, fine by me. Okay. The next closest base that we should probably concern ourselves with is right here. Let's go over to that section now. Give ourselves some breathing room. I couldn't imagine being a biter, by the way, because as far as I'm aware, they're fairly peaceful right up until you cause them to be aggressive. And that just seems like a shame, quite frankly, because they just wanted to be left alone. But maybe it's hubris, but this is my planet. Yeah, it was your planet first, but it's my planet now because I'm the one that dropped in here, and so I'm going to stay where I land. The outer base says, "Dead bug, good bug. Finally, there will be some peace, but I don't want to jinx it. I would be quite happy if you could help us construct a box of grenades. It's in your interest too. Don't forget to research advanced military first." That's what I thought that we had to do at the very beginning, was get that black military science. So we need 20 grenades in our inventory, huh? Okay. I could absolutely craft that by hand, but what's the point in a factory building game? So let's just kind of look at this real quick and just see what we got to do to get 2 black science. We're going to need steel, of course. Military 2 is going to be green science. So we're going to need green science and steel. For that reason, we're immediately going to switch off of military production there. It's just going to take too long. I just don't want to do it like that. So let's carry on this way and get a couple of these blue inserters. Up. I did not mean to get a purple inserted there. We're going to do it like this, just so that way I don't lose that item which I've already crafted. I just want this to go as fast as possible so that there's no bottleneck right here. And we already mentioned that there might be a problem with getting backed up. Well, here's that problem. I think that the best thing I can do at this point is just to eliminate this pipe right here. It's done a good job. We've made all these other pipe sections. I don't think that we need to put any more pipe back onto the line. I think that will solve our problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull a little bit more section off this pipe, and then anything else that's coming through should be just fine for now. And so we're still going to get our undergrounds. We're still going to get this, and so on and so forth. It's going to be a temporary solution. It's not going to be a long-term solution, but a solution is what we needed, and that's what we now have. Just so I can speed this up, I'm going to add in one more assembler, and I'm just going to more or less hand feed this one. It's going to be ugly, but I'm just trying to get some additional production going at the moment, because I just don't trust this to keep up with itself just with this one set of automation science packs. Not to mention what happened to our copper production. This is another problem with the iron ore being all backed up. Now we don't have nearly so many resources going into our copper production. So it looks like it's probably not going to be a bad time to separate this out sooner rather than later. Yeah, I think so. This is the problem that we always run into. I guess we knew that when we went into it. Okay. For now, though, I'm just going to help this out for 1 second and just clear out all this. Then just hand feed it. What is your problem? Oh. That needs to switch, so it is fueled. Okay. So we do have steel up now, and rather than do a huge smelting array, I'm not trying to simply get through this scenario, but I am trying to jumpstart some of my production. And this is one of the ways I can do that, is by making sure that I'm being efficient with my time. I don't think I'm going to need a lot of steel production at the moment. I will for military production, because you're going to need red ammunition. Red ammunition is going to take steel. But for now, I think I just need just a little bit. And plus, because my dedicated smelting is not correct, and it's going to back up and have problems, this is, again, going to be something of a temporary solution. We're going to put a little bit of copper in here, and then we're going to put not the last of my gears, but half the gears I currently have back in here as well. Like that. Okay. So then, steel processing is completed. Let's move on to, let's see. Green science is going to require... We already have green science. Oh, we've already got that research. We just need to actually put that to good use, don't we? Transport belts and inserters. So here's my transport belts. And the inserters were actually being made up here. Bit of a rough go, I'd say. I could always do something down here. Could always do something down there just to kind of bootstrap it. I think I'm best off putting together a little mini green science pack base here. It feels so ugly. On the one hand, when you're playing Factorio, it feels really bad to always end up with the same design, square designs and things of that nature. That feels bad. On the other hand, it's really effective and efficient at keeping things where they ought to go, if you understand what I'm saying. Like something like a main bus design might be boring, but it works really, really well. Main bus meaning that all your resources go one way and then you have branches off of that getting into production. This is not really a bus, but you could consider it that same concept. That same line is going from point A to point B. It'll work as a bus concept, but it's not really going to have the benefits of a bus, and it's not going to mitigate some of the drawbacks that a bus is meant to mitigate. So I could start all over with this and just redo it one more time, and the first place to start would probably be to just cut my losses here and clear all this out. But then again, I am currently getting some red science here. Where are my other resource patches? Got iron up here. Got copper over here. Maybe I should follow this train track down and just see what else is out here. I'm going to do that. I just want to explore for just a second. Just maybe there's something out and about that can be useful. Again, in Factorio free play, this is a terrible idea because you're not going to find anything that's useful out in the boonies. But here, it feels like exploring might actually be useful. And so long as I'm in a car, I'm never really going to get into too much trouble. Unless you hit a cliff that looks like you shouldn't hit it, but then you accidentally do. Okay, so we do find something here. This is kind of interesting. Huh. This is kind of interesting. I'm going to have to kill these biters and then take a look. So what do we have? This is a mining operation. This is going to bring in copper. There's lots of it. Are there any weapons? Are there any useful things? Look at this. Railroad tracks, gun turrets, gates. Yeah, this is actually pretty useful. We're going to take this with us now. We're not going to wait. And then it looks like this is actually fairly easy to defend. That's probably the concept. It's going to take, let's see, you're going to need at least one more locomotive, and that's going to take some of those engine parts that are being built up in the other section there. And it looks like, actually, no, never mind. It's just like a one-way rail. It's just a one-way. This one rail car is going to be able to follow it all the way down. But then there's also this direction that the train is going. Where is this going? I'm trying to stay zoomed out so that way I don't run into enemies and just die, while still being able to just kind of continue on my way. It looks like this piece of rail is going to go in this direction. And then, what's going on down here? What's going on down here? Oh boy, I should probably have not brought so many enemies right into me. I'm going to kill them all without any problems, but still a little bit concerning. This looks like this is going to bring all the resources that I need for iron. So this, oh, there's a former tank. These resources from afar are going to be very, very valuable to me, I think. Rather than mining my little local patches that are right on top of each other, and this is a pretty little patch, you have the opportunity to build this extensive rail system and then save yourself the trouble of dealing with some big bad evil guys. They're not big, they're not bad, they're not really evil, but it's going to be a little bit of a problem if you don't take care of them. Okay, so here's my thing. Here's my thing with this. I got explosive cannon shells. These are good for this tank that has been destroyed. There is no tank. Should I continue to explore? But if so, where do I explore? There's rails that should go in this general direction. I could probably just send some rail this way and then go along this way rather than cycle right through these enemies so I don't have to defeat them. But then I'll have to clear out enemies up in here. With some grenades, that shouldn't be too big of a problem. But then I'm going to have the issue of needing 2 different train stops, I think. I think we're going to have to devote some thought to this, but we're definitely going to have to redo this entire base. This is just a mess. This is not good. This is not really good right now. It'll work, but we're going to need to expand in this direction. We're going to need to clear out trees. We're going to need to build into this section a little bit. We may even pull out these rails so that way we can just have 2 loading and unloading stations parallel to each other in this direction. Yeah. And so then we're going to have unloading here. We're going to have smelting here. We're going to have production here. We're going to pull all this production out of the base. This can be whatever you want it to be. I don't really care. This space, it may be just a shell of its former self. But otherwise, we're going to have to make some massive renovations to this base. But that's going to be for another time. So we're going to hit save on this, and we're going to go on to another day, and we're going to come back here at this other time. But it's nice to know that we have a plan now, and this is the plan that we're going to stick with. We're going to get 2 lines of unloading on the trains. We're going to get some additional smelting. We're going to have our production going in this direction. That's going to get us up to red science, green science, and thenceforth into black science. So with that being said, that's the plan. I like this so far. This is nice to not have to start from scratch and to have a little bit of a story to kind of go through. And this is engaging in a way that I do enjoy. And hopefully this is enjoyable to you, because I think that base level Factorio is not nearly as enjoyable as I think that this can prove to be. So I hope I get to see you in the next one. We'll plan on doing at least one of these a week. Hopefully a little bit more. Problem is that we just have so many games and so little time. But stick with me. I'm excited to see where the rest of this goes. Folks, take care of you, take care of your family, take care of your friends. My name is FixFox, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.